This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Monday, the 18th of August, back in the studios after the Iowa State Fair has wrapped up. I'm Dustin Hoffman, glad to join you here today. Coming up a little later on the program, we're going to talk with folks at agmarket.net to find out what's happening in those closing numbers. But first, we're going to sit down with NCBA President Buck Wehrbein. He was at the Iowa State Fair to help show in the Iowa's Governor's Charity Steer Show, and we caught up with him before that event. Talks a little bit about his steer, but also talks about what he sees for the future of leadership in agriculture and in the Cattlemen's Organization, and also some of the topics that they're working on right now after the passage of the big, beautiful bill. We're here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network at the 2025 Iowa State Fair, being joined by NCBA President Buck Wehrbein from eastern Nebraska. Thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us, and not too far of a distance to come over here for this.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Delighted to be here, and my gosh, the crops all the way over here look fabulous.
Yeah, we're definitely been blessed this year. Not going to complain too much about that. So you're going to be showing this year in the Iowa Governor's Charity Steer Show. Is this the first time you've been anywhere involved or seen anything about it?
Yes. I've heard, of course, my whole life I've heard about the Iowa State Fair and what a great fair it is, but I was unfamiliar with this program and already very impressed with it.
And it's a great way to, like we said, we do it to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House charities. There's so many great kids and great celebrity show people, and yourself included. Tell us who you're going to be showing with here today.
I'm going to be showing with McLean and showing her steer Merlin, the wizard, and purebred Simmental. And I've already met him. Look forward to working with him and her. And gosh, she's an example of what's all that's right coming up with young people in our business. I mean, she's knowledgeable and forthright, and I'm just really enjoying this and going to enjoy it.
When we talk about that, the next generation coming up, you see kids like her, see any of these kids that are showing here at this event, obviously it gives them a chance to give back, do something beyond themselves, and it's a great way for them to showcase what they're doing at the same time.
Correct, and this is so much more than the money raised for the charity. That's fabulous, and $6 million so far and all that. I mean, that's amazing. But when you look at it not being from Iowa and representing cattle producers all over the country, it is a good way of showcasing what we're about and how cattle producers, what they think about their animals and so forth, for the people out there, our consumers and potential customers and so forth, to see that. So I'm really watching and learning, because this is something that would be cool to replicate around the country. And so very impressed, and it helps way more than just this charity, which is enough.
So, and it's interesting because a lot of areas of agriculture, and I mean, it's not just cattle, it's everywhere, they're wondering what the next generation is going to do. Are they going to want to take it over? And you're seeing that, those leadership skills and that love of the animals and the business coming from it. Maybe they don't take over the farm, but they maybe stay involved in agriculture somewhere.
Correct. And things like this that get it in front of people, and especially people that know something already, and then they see this, that can inspire them a little bit. Sandy and I went with the Young Cattlemen's tour last year, and so there were like 70 young people on that, and seeing them and their knowledge and ability to express it and so forth. So they're so far ahead of where I was at that same age when I was on that same tour back in 94, 3 or 4, whenever it was. And that was encouraging, and it feels good to see, there are people coming along behind us. It's not like, well, what's going to happen when we die off? So that's very encouraging.
All right, and so maybe shifting gears in from the show, obviously NCBA, we look at the cattle markets, they have been, as you said before we got out here, you guys are running out of adjectives to describe the market. We a lot of times focus on the sell price. Of course, you also have to think about restocking, especially the feedlots, to be able to get cattle. It's kind of a wash at sometimes too. It's a tough situation for these producers, even though you see those high prices.
Well, for what we would call margin players like me, a feedlot operator, or somebody buying cattle to put on grass, wheat pasture, something like that, you get a turn of selling the cattle high, and that's very fun. But as you just said, you have to turn around and restock, buy something back. And what I've been telling people is, it takes a dump truck to haul the money away we're making, but then you turn around to replace and you dump it out of the dump truck and pay for them, and it doesn't stay in the dump truck very long.
No.
Don't misunderstand me. There's plenty of margin right now, but it's as the market goes up, it raises all the boats and every level. And I think one of the things that I'm most pleased about this is for the original producer, the cow-calf operators who needed a break and get some debt paid off, and that certainly that's got to be helping them right now. I've never had cows and calves, but that's got to be big for them.
Oh, most definitely. And of course, you'd love to see someone be able to reap, because the markets have been tough. It's always somewhere. I mean, it could be hogs, it could be cattle, it could be anywhere. There's always someone that's having sometimes it's a little bit of a tough time. Now, talking about issues the NCBA is watching, obviously we've been talking a lot about the screwworm. We got to talk with the pork producers during World Pork Expo, and they're concerned because it affects all mammals. But there's been a lot of focus from the cattle industry because Texas is right there on the border with Mexico, and flies that have lay these larvae, they don't respect the border.
No, and the cattle seem to be the focus of it, and that's fine, but it's in wildlife, and you don't control them, and they do fly. They can fly over the river. It's not like, so we know and believe that the protocols in place by APHIS and Mexico's answer to APHIS are adequate to allow the cattle to come over and them not be a source of this. And so we feel good about that, and anxiously await Secretary Rollins being able to open the border again, because we're short enough on head count in our herd that we need those cattle probably more than ever. And so that's very important. And we're fortunate in that we're able to make these cattle big enough now that while the head count is the lowest we've had in 70 years or whatever it is, the amount of tonnage, which is what we actually sell. We sell meat, we don't sell hooves. And so that isn't down as much as the head count. However, it is down enough that we have these record prices, and we're grateful and thankful that through work by the checkoff and the breeding and so forth, that the quality of our cattle is so good that our consumers are willing to pay for it. We also have an animal that has a cut of beef for every budget, so you don't have to buy a bone-in fillet. Mm-hmm. And you can buy the tougher cuts that take more cooking and take longer to prepare and whatnot, but are much more budget friendly. And half of our beef is consumed as hamburger, which is a great product, and that much more competes with the competing proteins.
So when I was out in Washington 3 months ago at the NAFB event, we got to talk with your folks at NCBA about some of the things that they were concerned about, especially like death tax and things like that were in the big, beautiful bill. Now that that's passed, I mean, what's the next focuses for you guys, at this part of this stage of the thing? I know we're still trying to get some version of a farm bill passed through.
Yeah, great question. G.T. Thompson shepherded a farm bill through that we believe is the best farm bill for cattle people we've ever had. And of course it languished in the Senate under Senator Schumer, and nothing happened. And we're hoping that Senator Thune can get it through. But as you mentioned, so much of that we got done in the one big beautiful bill. And so a lot of those things, the tax issues and so forth, and the animal health issues and indemnification and so forth, that's done. And now much of it, like the death tax, it's there. I mean, somebody can't take that away with a stroke of a pen like we've had in the past. So a lot of those things are in the rearview mirror, but we have learned that some of those wins are because of work done for the last 5, 10, 20 years, that it comes to fruition with the right administration and so forth. So we will keep working on animal health things, of course, are front and center. and there's always more regulation. This administration will help us with the Endangered Species Act and things like black vulture that impact different cattle people around the country. So there's plenty to continue working on.
All right. Well, Buck, I thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us and kind of bring us up to date with what's going on, and wish you luck at the Governor's Charity Steer Show.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That again was NCBA President Buck Wehrbein. We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association. When we come back, it's the closing markets. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
We're back on Ag Matters PM, and it's time now to run down those closing markets, and being joined right now by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. And Sam, what did we see come out of those grain markets today?
It's a really quiet trade today, especially to start out the week. Corn futures were right around unchanged. Soybeans were down just a couple cents. Wheat market was down about 3 to 4, but yeah, just a real quiet day to start the week here. We had Pro Farmer Crop Tour is underway now. They started in South Dakota, worked their way down into Nebraska on the western side, and then over to the east, they started in Ohio and are working their way in towards Indiana here today.
Yeah, a lot of farmers that we talked to at the Iowa State Fair last week, especially after the USDA number came out, they were just saying that they were waiting to see what these tours were going to start finding, because a lot of farmers were telling us, at least from Iowa standpoint, that the crops do look good, but they just weren't sure 188.8 good.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of the same thing. You know, we've been going to some of these farmer events in Central Illinois, or at least I have anyway. Last week we were in El Paso, which is just north of the office here in Normal by about 15 minutes, and heard a lot of the same things. The crop is good, but as far as corn's concerned, they don't think that it'll be better than last year. Last year we had a really good crop around here, and we think that we're a little bit behind that currently. You know, some initial reports coming out of that Pro Farmer Crop Tour currently are suggesting that there's pretty big yields out there so far, but have seen a lot of pictures on Twitter with pretty substantial tip back. So I think it's kind of isolated, but if it gets to be more of a concern, which that's what I've been hearing a lot of here locally. So as that tour gets into Illinois tomorrow, and then I think Wednesday they'll be in Iowa there for you guys. Be really interesting to see if some of that tip back gets a little bit more prevalent, and or if they start to see some disease issues with this crop.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. I know with the western part of it, I used to go on that tour, and you see it in South Dakota. You take it with a grain of salt, but it gives you something to think about for the rest of the trip, and to see how that plays out. Switching over to the livestock side of things, though, Sam, I mean, what did we see with cattle and hogs? I mean, cattle just keeps riding that wave higher.
That's right. You just can't keep a good dog down. The feeder cattle market was up another $3.50 here today. Fats were a little bit quieter, but still higher on the day. I say quieter, and they were up 50 cents. 2 years ago, that probably would have been a pretty big move. Nowadays, we just kind of shrug our shoulders at a move like that. So it's been one of those markets here, but it's been fun to watch. This morning we were looking at some technical analysis from one of our partners, Brian Split. He was kind of going over a continuous chart dating all the way back to the 90s when these charts were first kind of kept for historical data anyway. And we're just on a megaphone pattern is what he explained it as. So we've got a base of lows there that's kind of at an upward trending channel, and then the upward side of that is at an even steeper angle, and both going higher. But here since pretty much after COVID, it's just been a parabolic wave higher, and cannot keep that down here. Every time we correct, we just follow that up with more buying and go make new highs.
All right. Well, Sam, if folks want to be looking at some of the intel you guys have and some of the thoughts you guys are having, or get some marketing analysis from agmarket.net, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Absolutely. Best way would be to visit our website at agmarket.net. You can click on Intel there, and that'll get you all the information that we put out on a daily and weekly basis. As I mentioned, Brian does his technical analysis. We'll have a video out on that every Wednesday, but that'd be the easiest way to get in touch with us. Other than that, you can give us a phone call here, 1-800-779-1515.
All right, Sam Trainor's been our guest here today. Sam, thanks for the insight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, very good. Thanks.
That again was Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. Let's go ahead and take a look at the closing numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen.
September corn was down 3/4 at 383 even. Soybeans down 1.5 at 10.20 3/4. Soy meal off $3 at 280.40 per ton. Soy oil up 9 cents at 53.27. Chicago wheat down 3 3/4 at 502 3/4. Kansas winter wheat down 3/4 at 506 1/4. Kansas spring wheat up 2.5 at 522 even. Minneapolis spring wheat down 1/4 cent at 569 3/4. Oats up 2.5 at 337. On the Merc Live, cattle up 52 cents at 231.17. Feeders up 357 at 350.92. Lean hogs up 2 cents at 90.12. Pork cutouts unchanged at 102.25. Class 3 milk up 46 cents at 18.80.
And that's been a check of our closing markets, and that brings us to the end of this week's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com, as well as on YouTube, Facebook, and on our X channels as well. You can also get free market analysis sent 3 times a day right to your mobile device through the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market podcasts. You can find those on Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean. From the iIron Studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Mark Magnuson, Riley Smith, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.